All right, fellas, what's up? Back with another MMA pod. Once again, you know what? I think I'm gonna put a poll in here. We're gonna get a name for this pod. We're gonna throw a poll in the you hear it first here first. We're gonna throw a poll in the chat. We need a name for the pod because MMA pod is cool, but we need something. But that being said, it's finals week. It's literally, it's time. The championship is here. We're about to have a champion decided. First time in MMA history, actually, the finals are getting played. And with that being said, we got some special guests up in here. Um, this week, I wanted to get a chance to talk to we on the pod. We wanted to get a chance to talk to both of the teams that are participating for this, like, a little media day type thing. So without further ado, if you can't figure out what team this is, then I don't know what to tell you, but I got a little something here for y'all, so you can figure this out.
I'm a bad boy.
Bad boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come?
Red Bull gets you wings.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? When you were 8 and you had bad traits.
So of course, we got the bad boys in here. Got Big Said, The Truth. We got Jalen, Ace McQueen, Slim Wavy, Chris, my brother Philium, Phil 40, and Elijah, aka Intake is the Sniper. So welcome, fellas, welcome. Um, I guess the first thing I gotta ask all of y'all, if anybody can speak up on this. How does it feel to get to the finals?
Great, great, bro. Especially where we started. Amazing.
Hey, BG,
I Yes, sir.
you got to learn the words, bro.
The words ain't no word. I am not part of this bad boys organization. I refuse. I refuse. And you know what's funny? The only time I was part of the bad boys was for like a hot second. So I definitely refuse.
Yeah, we're trying to make a wrong right, man, with Phil, man. So yeah, but it feels good. To answer your question, it feels good, man, to be in the finals. For the organization for the second time, and you know, for my individual third time. So feels good.
I forgot this is your third time playing in the finals, huh? Wow. So would this be, if you win, this would be your second chip in a league? I know everybody was talking about it today. It's not, it don't count, blah, blah, blah. But this would be your second chip in a league, said?
That's right. Yep.
And it's same for you, Chris, right? This would be your second.
This will be my third finals, my second chip if I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we got some finals experience here between said and Chris, multiple times in the finals. So I'm gonna ask you two this. I know we know it's a video game, we know it's 2K, but there does become some added pressure. I know, myself having played in the finals, what once did I play? One time, and there's some like you get some sweaty palms when you when you in the finals. It happens. So is there anything anything that y'all would say, what kind any kind of advantage that you two might have over somebody that's never played in the finals before? And again, like I said, it's a video game, but we still taking it serious. We trying to win. And is there any kind of added pressure? Anything like anything that you can give somebody that hasn't played in the finals before?
Honestly, to my teammates, you gotta have fun. That's how we got through our first round series. Was I came in treating it like a fives game, and I came in real. I was focused, but I also was relaxed at the same time. And I encourage my teammates, Elijah, Phil, and Ace, to just come in, relax, make sure that they're treating it like any other game, even though we know it's for a championship and there's going to be natural pressure. We there to play, we're there to win. It's like any other game. Treat it like a my career game if you want to. Except you're not gonna be taking 50 shots, but yeah, just treat it. Just come in, relax as possible.
Yeah, that's clutch. And just speaking from my side, I was thinking that when we were playing you guys, I would tell my team like, hey, we got to treat this like it's a regular game because if we add the pressure, we were the 1 seed, so we had some pressure there. So I was thinking the same thing. Just like on the flip side of the coin, just gotta, be a little bit relaxed. And what about you, said anything you could share for somebody that hasn't played in the finals before?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. It seems all of my trips to the finals have always been under the same, being the underseed, so to speak. So speaking with that, I mean, you're playing with house money, so there's no reason to be, and I'll be honest with you, I know before the first game, even we played BG, like right at tip off, there's that little bit of a stir in the stomach, and then as soon as like
Yep.
you get started, you're good. But right before tip off, that's it. That usually happens. I mean, just the same way it's almost like before you get on stage, So anytime you're about to do something, or you feel like you're about to do something like this, it does competitively. Even when you're playing in tournaments at the beginning, right before you get there, it'll. But as soon as the game starts, for us, we'll be fine. I mean, it's just like as Chris just said, treat it like it's another game. In our case, it really is because we're not supposed to be here. We really, we really at the last minute, the last second, kind of caught fire and we're here. So
Yeah, I respect that. I respect that. Now I want to, pivot for just a second. We have two of the quieter, more not quieter. I don't even know if that's a word. Come on, Brandon, grammar king, and I can't even find the right word. We have
Yeah.
we have two of the more quiet individuals in the league, in Phil and Elijah, both on the same team. They both came up huge, 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 huge in the first round series against DC. So I'm gonna get you two off mute. We're gonna get y'all to talk tonight. Elijah, I gotta ask you. So I don't know if you remember, but I remember like seeing you during the preseason, like when we were scouting and stuff, and I had you pretty high on my draft board from what I saw. You were a sniper. And then during the season, kind of got quiet. We didn't see much from you. Um, wasn't like a whole lot, wasn't a whole lot for us to talk about with regard to you. And then you just snapped. So what happened? What turned the like flip the switch for you? Like what, in the playoff series, what made you just come out and just turn killer all of a sudden?
Just getting my hot zones and just locking in.
A man of few words, but I respect it because that's what he did. He came out and we were kind of playing off of you a little bit, which was a mistake. And I kind of, that was on me. With our defensive assignments a little bit, I kind of was thinking like, okay, we got to find someone we can sag off of, and I think we chose you, and that was a mistake, and you burned us for it. So um, definitely appreciate that, from you. Would like to see some more from you. And then Phil, again, one of the more quiet members of the team and one of the more quiet members of the league in general. What has been your approach? Like, what have you done this entire season? What made you play the way you did? Because to me, you're a top two power forward. I'm still as until free agency or until the off season hits, M Will's still part of my team. So I gotta, ride for my guy and still say M Will's a top two power forward. So you're the other one. You're the other one I consider top two. So what did you do this season for you? Like what just made you go?
I just played my game the regular way I always play. Um, I tried to become a knockdown 3-point shooter, but I didn't find my shot until probably like 2 weeks ago. So, but I just worked on basically playing good defense, uh, taking shots that were try to take smart shots and not force it too much, and just play team ball like I always do. If I see an open man, pass the ball. I don't care about scoring. I just want to win the game. So that's what it
And
comes down to.
that you did. That you did. There's it's funny, one of the highlights from our playoff series was this vicious block you had. I want to say it was on Tay or on Ben Leak. And our
Nah, that
whole
was on
team,
Tay. I spiked his shot.
Yeah, so our whole team, like when it happened, we were already down. We knew we were trying to win, but when it happened, our whole team kind of just like it wasn't even like we sunk in and we were defeated. We couldn't help, but everybody was like, man, we just kind of laughed. That was a crazy block. So I feel like
Yeah,
that one belongs in the highlight reels.
I'll
Um,
probably drop it.
Okay, make sure you do, please. And anybody, we do plan on getting one pod together to officially get those highlights listed and put together or whatever and ranked. So please put your highlights in the chat on the Discord in the Discord channel so we can use that. In that, like I said, that's anybody. So now I want to get down to the nitty-gritty. All right, you guys had some rough times, like straight up rough times. I want to know what y'all chat was like. What was it like? I'm not talking about the PSN when you're in the voice chat during the game. I'm talking about after them rough games. What was y'all chat like? Anybody can let me know this. So I need to know.
It might have been uh, one person asking what can we do, another person just leaving right after the game's over, and you know, not much said until the next day. So, and then some teammates getting into it, but it is what it is. We worked it out. So that,
I'm gonna ask this. Hold on. You said some teammates.
yeah,
We want names. Name some
I
names
don't
here.
drop names. Nah, we're organization. We don't drop names, so it is
Yeah.
what it is.
You could drop names, Phil. It's the season almost, so we passed that.
Chris
So
and Ace, pretty much. And then sometimes a little bit said, but not really. But mostly Chris and Ace.
We kind of figured that from some of the
And then
stuff we
it
saw in the
trickles
chat.
out into the main chat instead of just in our private chat. But you know,
So if I could go with a funny story, I find this funny now. This kind of goes with how we started the season out with as well. Very first play of the game. And when I say the first play, I mean the first play of the first game that we played was a fast break lob by Ace. And I almost missed the lob. No, matter of fact, I didn't actually finish the lob. I just caught it and then went up. And Chris immediately said, "Oh my God, that was a bad lob. I'm sorry, y'all. That was a bad lob." And, and this was the first play. This is their first time playing together out in a regular season game. And to me, now look back, it's funny now because both of those guys are super competitive. I mean, we're all, competitive. But they're more vocal with theirs. So we all just want to win. So of course we had some up and downs, and I think that I'm glad it happened earlier on in the season than later because there was definitely some up and downs and a lot, but what I appreciate from the both of these guys is that they stayed the course easily. We've seen and this BG previous leagues, people be so quick to just want to get out. I'm good. Trade me, get me out of here.
Mm-hmm.
But these guys, and I think what it is that the respect that Ace looks at Wavy and he knows like when he steps on the court, like I got a dog with me, and vice versa. Wavy looks at Ace and he knows like, oh yeah, this guy here. We just and even we had a fives run the other night and Chris immediately came and said, man, Ace, I appreciate you as a point guard. I appreciate you. So I think the respect between the two, they know that they need each other to win too. They know that too. So yeah, just a small little hurdle, but we're here now. I don't know if they
Much
want to
respect.
talk to it or not.
I was gonna get to them. So Chris and Ace, first
yeah,
first before I get to you guys, real quick, Elijah. So we know like a lot of I don't know if everybody that's gonna watch this will know, but we know that you're not in the Discord, so you kind of don't see all of the the goings on and stuff. But how like how much did you feel pressure for you like to hit shots and to do things like when your team was struggling because you guys had a little rough patch. I don't remember if it was like a certain number of losses in a row, but when your team was struggling, like for you, did you feel any pressure because it seemed like at least from just watching, Chris and Ace, they demand a lot of attention. And then it's like, you Phil and well, I think Said got a lot of shots too. So it's like you and Phil kind of had to just get in where you could fit in. And how did you feel? Like, was it pressure for you to do stuff, or how was it for you?
Of course, it was a little pressure from how I've been shooting the last past game. So I know, for these recent games, I gotta knock down my open shots.
Absolutely. And one last question for you too. Like when you were struggling, the games that you weren't shooting so well, how like did you what did you know, did you get down on yourself? Like how did you feel? What was going on through your head then? The games where it was a little bit rough.
Um, um, I don't know, just thinking about what I could do better as in my player, uh, getting hot zones, going to get more badges, maxing them out, things like that.
Okay, so Elijah was putting in some work off the
Grind,
court.
man. Yeah,
I respect
grind.
that. Definitely respect that. And I mean, I can't speak for anybody else, but I had some high expectations for you this season. And kind of, even though I hate that it happened against my team, was happy to see you, succeed in the playoffs. So that was really good look there. Now Ace and Chris, the dynamic duo of this team, the Shaq and Penny, the Magic and Kareem. Well, no, I don't know. I don't know about the Kareem part because Chris ain't doing no hook shots. But anyway, to get to you two. So now, all right, we're going, like I said, we want the hard hitting question. So take us through from start to finish, like what happened with y'all this season. Literally give me the from the start to finish. And I'm talking about
You want
literally that story that said gave us, like even with the bad lob that Chris called out.
you wanted Ace or me?
I'll start. So essentially what happened was number one, I think we started off pretty good. I think we had that close loss to y'all game one, which was cool because we all felt like we played pretty good in that game. We just kind of lost it at the end. But to that first play, as a point guard, and it's not being cocky, but kind of is. I know how to pass. This come from playing ball in real life. To come from you know uh, playing 2K for as many years as I have. I knew it was a good pass. Again, when I see certain angles, you know, if I feel like I can't get a regular pass to you because I have high pass accuracy on my build, I'm a lob it to you. Now, said just wasn't ready, which was cool. So, and Chris was like, that's a bad pass, but after the end of the game, it wasn't that serious. But from that moment on, I knew what it was going to be as far as like me and Chris, like two high competitors, two high personalities. And I'm not used to playing with somebody like that. Usually I'm the only one, got high energy. So that took some used to, but really, I think what it was, it was more so the frustration when we were losing. And because we were demanding so much attention, we needed other guys to step up. And, early on, it wasn't happening. Like you said, Elijah had to take more shots, Said had to take more shots. And it was hard for me and Chris to kind of get in the rhythm, and trying to see that through, was kind of tough. So that started, I guess that started most of the issue. And we kind of started taking that out on each other rather than trying to work that out as a team. So that's where it kind of, caused some issues.
So for me personally, I've played with some top guards in the league in seasons, uh, Greg, Terrence, different guys that are considered elite point guards. I think the only one I have yet to play with is Austin, actually, and we're going against him in the finals. So with that pass, I ain't gonna lie, I wanted to come and get the first bucket of the season. I feel like I like to slow. Since I'm big, I'm slow on the game. I like to slow it down, kind of pound the rock. And I mean, I
Pause.
had to with you, BG, and I wanted to go at you. I'm not gonna lie. So I felt like
Now the truth comes out.
yeah, that's true. I wanted to rock. And I think Ace could tell that, and I'm pretty sure Ace probably in his head was like, okay, he's one of them he's one of those bigs that feel like he got to have the ball the whole game. And no lie, I did feel like that. I did feel like that because I played big at a high level for so long that he came and humbled me. Really, he really humbled me over the season because he's like, I play with better bigs, and it made me kind of step my game up to say, well, I'm gonna be one of the best bigs he's played with. As for now, and then we also went through a period of time where I think we had lost like 3 or 4 straight.
Yeah.
And I was so busy looking at other teams and how they was playing and how they were winning and how they were, everything was coming together for them during the middle of the season that I didn't focus on what we could work on better. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna take the blame for going to Ace because he came at me to start out with respect and I did not because I didn't know him that well. I'm not familiar with him. But now that we've had time to gel and had time to come together as teammates, I mean, I'm super confident in him. Like, I'm super confident. Like, I'm confident enough to set him a screen to take the last shot of the game. And I'm a last shot taker. So, right now I do feel like we're trading upward, and we had a hard time. Even Phil and Elijah, especially Elijah, this is his first season playing with us. Like, I didn't set a good example in being a vet. Making him feel uncomfortable when he was missing shots. I would be in the chat groaning and stuff. But going into the playoffs and going to the playoff series versus y'all, it was support your teammates, trust them fully. Let's try to get a dub, and that's all that was on my mind. So we came around when it mattered most. I came around.
Excuse me, respect there. Respect there. So I appreciate a couple of things that you guys were saying. Like just even if you guys had different perspectives on things, I really appreciate how excuse me, you guys had to it's I don't think it's under stated enough chemistry and guys playing together because you
Yeah.
got 5 different personalities, 5 guys that might have 5 different ways of seeing
Mm-hmm.
how the game should be played. That's so important. So, and then I think if I look at the league, I feel like you guys have with Chris and with Ace and Wavy. I feel like you guys have probably the two, like when it comes to duos, probably the two most, I guess I'll say outspoken duos in the league. Like I feel like we look at your opponent this series, the ball hogs, they kind of follow exactly what Oz does. So they go as he goes. But you guys have two like dominant personalities to adjust to. So
And to piggyback off of that 2BG, that's what it was for me. And that's why early on, like Chris had to adjust, but I had to adjust more so too. Because like I said, I'm used to being the only one. You know what I'm saying? I'm calling out the defense, I'm calling out the offense, so I'm not used to that. So, you know what I'm saying? And it was all just, like Chris said, respect. You know, people good at the game just like I'm good at the game. And that's all it was. I had to trust him. And then I also had to trust said game plan. And then, and I feel like early on, even when me and you got into a little back and forth about scoring, you was right. Because, I mean, and Chris was saying it too, but how I was looking at it was, I got to get everybody a shot. I used to, I was telling Phil and Elijah, multiple times throughout the season, like, I need y'all confident to shoot. So when we need y'all, we'll get those buckets. But, it's all about adjustments. We all had to adjust.
mm-hmm. And Phil and Elijah, both of you, how did you feel like when Ace was telling you guys, I need you guys to hit shots and stuff like that? Did it add pressure for you? Like, what was your thoughts when he was telling you that?
Uh, I was good with him saying like shoot when we get it, but I had no confidence in my jump shot. I was trying to transition to become a shooter without the meter, and it went horrible. So, but like now I'm good with my shot. But I was always willing to take those shots, especially when people start leaving me open. I'm like, all right, I gotta start taking these shots even more now.
Hmm.
But I
And
saw
seeing
it was kind of hurting the team because I was not hitting at all, really. So just had to change it up a little bit, change my jump shot, put the shot meter back on. I'm ready to go.
and it's same question for you, Elijah. When you were being told, well, we need you to hit shots, what were you feeling?
Even though I was missing some, team still gave me encouragement to I need you to shoot the ball and just to shoot when I'm open. So that helped a lot.
Gotcha. All right, said I got to come to you now. So I got some questions for you. And I don't want to hear you pleading the fifth. I need to know these answers. So, um, the biggest one. All right. So you guys lose a game. Next thing you know, a certain individual is changing their name in the chat to free so and so. You know what? Chris changed his name to Free Wavy, and then uh, and then he changed his name to Ben Wavy. And I'm looking at it like, oh, what's going on here? So said when when Chris came in the chat and he's changing his name and him and Ace are going at it in the chat like a little blow up. You're the cap. So what were your thoughts? Like legit, what were your thoughts? Now you guys are past it, so this ain't to design to blow up your chemistry or anything. But at that particular time, what was going through your head?
Well, I think that it would be different if I didn't know Chris personally, or if we hadn't, we played together. We played a full season before together as well, and it was actually quite the same. Where we struggled, and TGM asked for some, which is for people who don't know, is Taylor Gang. For anybody who may think it's something else, it's Taylor Gang, not Taylor Gregg, Taylor Gang Management. And he was asking for, different moves that we needed to do. And so this time around, instead of asking for moves, he was basically looking like he was asking out, And so for me, the hardest thing is knowing, like, the move has to be right. I'm not going to make a move, like if you think about real life NBA, they're not going to make a move for their organization that's going to hurt them. So I wasn't going to, because I still got Ace, I still got Elijah, I still got 40 who are, trying to, win games. And I want to win games. I'm trying to win championships. So the hardest part is you can't really replace a Wavy. Like, there's not a lot of moves you can make to replace like what he brings to this team. So, for me, it was like, we're either gonna ride this out or we're gonna ride this out. so for me, as I was watching it, knowing him, knowing that he wears his emotions on his sleeves, so very vocal about what he's feeling at that moment. So it's either like we ride it out, or I go tell the wives. So I mean, that's pretty much where we were, With one,
I'm gonna ask you something because like I said, this is kind of the hard hitting in the captain's chat. Said came in there and he's like, I don't care what I gotta do. He's gonna be off my team, and y'all can do it. Give me whatever penalty or whatever you want. It was more or less. He may not have used those exact words, but that was the definitely conveyed to the captains, and this was for the timeline's sake, this was right after or around the time when I think the final straw from Said's eyes might have been when Chris changed his name to Ben Wavy or whatever it was with the Ben part. So Said, I don't think Said was joking, like Said was dead serious. And he even mentioned something in there, I believe, about like y'all can penalize me however you have to. So at that moment, Said, like, what were you thinking then when you said that? Because I know you were still putting your GM cap on, but what were you thinking then?
well, the thing was that there was no moves to be made. The only person I had a conversation with, I had conversations with, I reached out to every captain really, including yourself, and just none of the moves made sense. So when he was, because I was just trying to honor a request because he really, he did want out. So I was trying to honor a request. The moves weren't gonna make us it was gonna make us extremely worse, in my opinion. So so for me, it's like, okay, I'm pushing to a rock and a hard place. And not to mention, and it was never, and the crazy thing was, it was never anything in the Bad Boys chat. Like, this was never in the Bad Boys chat. It was just all, out in the open. I even think at one point, I think I removed Chris from the Bad Boys chat. If I'm
He
not
did. He did.
Wow.
Hey, I couldn't remember if I did.
He
Oh,
did.
this whole time I thought Chris left.
Wow.
No, I gave him the boot.
I like.
Said got him out of there.
Yeah. Cause and he
All
was
right.
really saying nothing. Like we never had any riffraff in there
I
though.
like to comment when he gets finished.
Yeah. Yeah, we never had any riffraff in there. It was all just like main chat activity. And the way that I like to handle things is different, and there was personal dialogue between me and him as well. Like, I did get some, messages from him and he got some from me. And so we were kind of talking, but it still wasn't in the end, once cooler heads, we kind of looked at the bigger picture, and of course we're here where we are now. But yeah, for that second, I definitely was like, I don't know what else I'm supposed to do, but if I can't make a trade, I'm not gonna trade him for nothing. Like ain't nobody gonna push me to trade him for for something that ain't gonna work for my team. So I wasn't gonna do that. So if that's the case, then hey, we just gotta figure out what could work for the league. So
Yeah, and before real quick, Chris. So just a little history thing here too. There was there was something that happened in the previous league. It wasn't even UBA yet. I don't remember what the league name
Z-League.
was at the time. Was it BBA?
Z-League.
Z League, yes. Thank you. And this was so I was on the bad boys with Sed. So Sed was the captain. He drafted Chris, Robbie, me, and Tyler.
Tyler.
And
Tyler, yep.
Tyler ended up getting traded.
Before Tyler was Tyler. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So Tyler ended up getting traded for Phil.
Rookie Tyler.
And me and Phil were on the bad boys for about a total of, I think, together one game, if I remember correctly. Played
Yeah.
one game.
I think it
And
was one game.
yeah, but here's the crazy thing. I
We
was
didn't
just
even have our
thinking,
full five either.
no, because Sed was missing. Yeah, oh man, that was a crazy season. Sed had a meltdown. Sed had a meltdown. We did all so little history lesson. So Phil ended up asking out of his team that he was on, which was George's team. And that's when, we're in the bad boys chat at the time. We're like, well, we can't have Phil go to Austin's team, the South Beach. So like, yo, gotta go make a move to get Phil. And we knew Phil could potentially have ended up being a free agent and go wherever he wanted after he was released. So, we kind of like, all right, we gotta make this move. So long story short, Phil ends up coming to the bad boys. Now, where I say this is kind of familiar is the difference. I feel like in that case, and kind of to Sed's point, George kind of got stuck in between a rock and a hard place because nobody would trade with him to get Phil because they knew Phil wanted out. So everybody was going to wait until Phil was released and then pick him up out of free agency. And it was just a crazy thing. So Said pulled a smart GM move here, and he said, "I'm not, y'all ain't about to get me like y'all got, you got George. I'm gonna hold on to my guy if I have to, because I ain't releasing him for nothing." And that's what I commend you with the GM move there. And obviously, you guys get to the finals, it paid off. So, long story there, but it's just interesting to see sometimes the stuff that happens behind closed doors with the decisions that Caps have to make. So. Chris, now you said you wanted to add to, what Seb was mentioning. So
So the whole time, I'm not gonna lie, the whole time that I had requested a trade, I was bluffing because I really didn't want to be off the team because I knew what potential that we had. Like from practice, I think one of the mistakes we made was practicing in rec, but even practicing in rec, like Elijah would have 35 points, Ace would have 20 assists, I have a 20-20 game, Phil would have about 15, Said would have 7 because he said. But like I was bluffing. I really didn't want to get kicked off, be off the team. And then, it was also the other teams, including UBG, saying, saying stuff like, "Oh, nobody wants to trade for you. You won't be rostered next season." So that kind of was like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna go ahead and be the wild card and show y'all that I don't need you. I don't need you. I don't need you." But I had to, I guess, come to terms with myself that, hey, if you continue to act like this, nobody is gonna pick you up because you're you're already labeled a team chemistry killer. Now you're proving them right. So I kind of shut up towards the end of the season and just played ball. And even though I did ask for a trade, I was very professional and said, will attest, I was at every game on time and played. So, you know, this is a learning experience for me for next season and seasons beyond to, sometimes just argue with yourself. Don't argue with your teammates because all I had to do, I had Jay's number the whole time. And I think that's where the tides turned. One day I was at work and I just texted bro. And I put how I felt, and then he texted me how he felt. And after that, it seemed like our chemistry got better because it's like, okay, we see where we both stand. And I could have done that at the beginning of the season, but hard-headed, coming from other teams where, you just argue and I argue with my teammates and we won. But this wasn't the type of team to do that with. So I do appreciate said not trading me or dropping me like he could have, and just being patient and letting the anger subside because I was listening to other teams talk about our team chemistry and our teammates and me and how I'm not gonna get picked up or whatever. So, I kind of bought into that, but then I bought out. So glad he didn't go through with that decision because we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, that could have been. I don't think. Honestly, I think replacing you with any other center in the league, Bad Boys don't make the finals with the way this team is built. I just don't think it works.
Right.
That's true.
And I think, honestly, the only ones I think available like that would have been traded, obviously I can't trade myself, so that wasn't going to happen. Um, I don't think I don't think Said's going to trade you for a division. So the only center that popped into my head as an immediate trade would be a Hunter and Chris swap, and I just don't think because of Hunter's play style, I don't think it works for you guys' team. I don't think Hunter is a bad center, like despite my trash talk, but I don't think that he works for you guys. And I know, you guys had him and we played you guys to get to the finals. I don't think you beat us. So, a testament to your whole team for sticking it out. Now, Said I'm gonna drop something a little behind the scenes here. So there was a potential trade that was floated around during the season. And of course, this was when, Chris was asking out and everything. So and then there's something else I want to get to after that. But so there was a trade. Said, do you remember what trade I'm talking about?
You talking about between me and you or somebody?
Yes, me, you, and we remember
Oh yeah,
we mentioned
yeah.
another team.
Right, yeah.
So of course this didn't happen, but now that the regular season's over, the trade deadline is passed, you guys are already in the finals. So here's what was proposed, just to get you guys' imaginations going. So, and we had to line the points up, of course. So it was going to be potential. Let me make sure I got the text here. So, okay, make sure. Okay, here we go. So it was going to be potentially. Now I don't even know if said. Did you ever even mention this to James at all?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, so me and said we're spitballing here, and this was like his team. You guys were struggling. I think the Pirates were struggling. My team wasn't struggling. We were still okay, but I was thinking about if I was gonna have to shake some things up or not. So it was potentially here. James was going to get again under our proposed idea. James was going to get Chris and Ben Leak from my team. So he was going to get a second and third round. Said would in return get Hunter and Renzo second and third round, and then I was going to get Ryan and Elijah second and third round. So this was the potential trade that was discussed, and as far as I know, like me and said, we agreed we were going to do it. It wasn't like we agreed to make the trade, but we agreed to like this was what we were going to offer, and then I think what happened? I think you asked me if we were going to do it, and I said, well, let me see how. I want to wait a couple more games to
Yeah.
see how things go.
Yeah, you
And
guys continue to elevate, like you guys played literally y'all won like those next 2 or 3 games and
yep,
they were almost weren't even because y'all think about this was before the trade deadline. So this was probably, let's say, middle of the season when we were losing and you guys started winning. So it was like from there, it's like, what's the point of shaking the tree? At least on your end, what's the point?
yeah, yep. So your potential roster you was looking at, it was gonna be Bad Boys with Ced, Phil, let me see, Hunter, Renzo, and Ace. So I kind of just we don't have to discuss the other sides of the trade, but what do you think, Ace? I'm gonna ask you, had that been your team, what would your thoughts on that team have been? So again, it would have been Ced, Phil, Hunter, Renzo, and yourself, Ace.
I'm gonna be honest. I like the way it sounds. Now, granted, like I said, the way we Ced will tell you this from day one. Ced, you know, I guess part of being a franchise player, you have, me and Ced was in constant communication, and Ced was asking me if there was any moves. And I continue to say what I was telling you every time. I said, I feel like we got enough. I like our team. And
Yeah.
like Chris said, when we was
Yeah.
playing in rec, you know, it was perfect. Elijah shooting, Phil has been our most consistent player all season. Phil was balling, we was good. So I just felt like we just had to buy in. The thing was, we just wasn't sticking to game plan. When we was down, it was a couple games we lost, this season where we was winning and then we end up losing. And I just think it was just buying into the system. Now, as good as that team do sound, I mean, because doing the combine, I do remember me and Renzo, we played a lot together and we was balling. But like I said, I like the way my team is constructed. And now that everybody's bought in, everybody is much more dangerous. Elijah more dangerous from the three. Phil, like I said, he's been dangerous. And then most people like to play off of Ced, and Ced will light you up. So, what I'm saying? I like the way, our team is constructed.
Agreed.
Much
I'm not
respect,
gonna
much
lie,
respect.
BG. I'm not gonna lie.
Mhm.
I think I would have been upset. I think I would have been upset. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Number one, uh, I mean, I no, like you said, no offense to Hunter, love him to death. Like he's legit like a brother to me, but he ain't better than me at center. I'm gonna keep it a bean. I'm gonna keep it a bean. Like
Nah,
so,
no argument there. No
I mean,
argument there.
I just don't feel that way. Now, the Renzo and Ace, that's scary. That would have been scary. And then, going to a team. So if I would have went to the Pirates, correct? So that would have
Yeah.
been me, James, Lou,
So
Robbie.
potentially, yeah, it would have been you, James, like you said, you, James, Robbie, Leak, Lou. That's the five.
Right. So then if I go to that team, I mean, I'm feeling like I'm the guy, but Robbie's the guy on that team. So that would have been a clash where, like, on this team, we know that Ace is the guy. Like, it's established. Ace is the guy. I'm the backup, and that's just how it is. Where there, it would have been kind of chaotic because you know I I love Rob to death, but the boneheaded plays, like you think I'm acting up on this team. If we lose a game because you went up on 30 people, it's gonna be an issue. So I think I would have been upset. I'm not gonna lie. I think I
Yeah, you
would
Yeah.
about
have
to ruffle feathers in the chat now. See, look, y'all done got Chris going again.
hey man, it's
Now
just I mean,
again,
one thing about me, I'm gonna be honest, and I don't think I would have been too happy over there with the way that team would have been constructed.
I think from just looking at the roster, I think that team with the Pirates with that, with that trade would have been a tough team. I ain't gonna lie. Because Lee can knock down some shots. I don't know the fits for builds, like because Lee has two shooting guards. Robbie had only a point guard and a shooting guard.
Yeah, that
I
stuff
think
matters.
James.
Those
Yeah.
bills matters,
So
man.
and James, so we don't know. Again, this was just a kicked around idea. We don't even know if James would have agreed to it or not, but the team would have been dangerous. The problem would have been being undersized, because Lou would have had to play the four. But I don't want to spend too much time. I just kind of wanted to give a little tidbit there. And there was another, so this one I really wanted to get to. It didn't get talked about much during the season, right? But there was a game where Ace ended up, from what we were told, he muted himself during the entire game. I think he took 5 shots. 1 for 6 shooting, and that was one of the things that I think you guys were snapping on each other afterwards. What happened? Like I want the behind the scenes. What happened during
Look,
that game?
look, bro. Look,
The whole
bro.
thing.
Look,
Listen,
look.
all right, this what happened. So I said before the game, or like kind of before, number one, to put it out there, we was losing. I think for everybody, morale was down. It kind of started feeling
I
like,
think
all right,
that was
let's.
our third straight too, bro.
Yeah, I think everybody was
Mm.
just like, we was going into the game like, all right, come on, let's lose
Losing
this game.
mindset.
So right, let's go in here and lose this game so we can go ahead and get on with the rest of the night. That's how it started to feel. But what happened that particular day, like I said, y'all know I got a new baby or whatever. So I was talking to my wife, and like I said, we had lost 2 straight, so I really wasn't like into it for real. Because like I said, I was expecting for us, it was not working. And then what happened was, that wasn't working. And it was a couple times throughout the game, because originally, I was locked originally. And it was a couple times I was open, wide open, and just did not get the ball. And I was like, all right, cool. Y'all want to play like this? Say no more. So I had kind of quit. It was done. I was like, I'm done.
So we was right said.
Now, like I said, granted, I was handling business, but after that, I was like, all right, now I'm clocked out. And that's kind of what happened. And then, like I said, we had a conversation after that, and that obviously is not the way you want your as a franchise player to be acting. So we talked after that, and we was good.
And actually that's when I'm gonna go ahead and say it. That's when the historic conversation happened, because that was when I put my pride to the side. BG, it's tough for me to do that. I put my pride to the side, and I texted Ace. I was like, bro, look, we need you. Like, I'll even show the text. Like, we need you, bro. Like, you got. I don't know how we gonna do this, but we got to figure something out. And that's when we had the. You know what? We had the conversation, and then we came out, and I think we lost the very next game. But the loss after the mute game loss was different. Like, because Ace was like, you know what? We still got this. And I'm looking at the standings. James' team not really winning. All-Stimmer back and forth. B. Ross Stimmer back and forth. I'm like, wait, we're still in this. Even to the last games that determined the playoffs, it was like, right. We're still in this. So, I think
it was a loss, but it was a good loss.
It was, that's what
it was a good loss.
I can't remember. Was it to the ball? It might have been to the Ball Hogs, y'all. And I was like, we can still win. Like, we're still good. And actually, it was Ace. And let me tell y'all something. I'm gonna shout out my teammate. Ace is the most encouraging point guard, hyping you up, like, good shot. He's always like, you can tell he believes in us. And when somebody believes in you, when your point guard believes in, when the point guard believes in the team, it shows on the court. And that's what happened in the playoffs in the last few games we had. You can tell Ace started believing in us, and we proved him right. So I got the second half of the season, that's definitely on Ace, bro. I'm not even gonna lie, that's definitely on Ace. So
yeah, that's tough. Now I want to revisit something you said. You said, "Oh, we were right." You said, what was that in reference to?
You talking to me?
That was Chris.
Oh, Chris.
Yes. Chris.
Oh no.
Said,
I'll say this. I think that so just to give the full background from my perspective. So this game, we'll call this the mute game. By this will go down in history. They go down in history. The mute game.
Mute game.
The mute game. And the game before that, Chris had a blow up after we lost, and Chris had a blow up after the game. And so, he just kind of stormed out the PSN chat. And the rest of us four, we just sat there, and it was already like some stuff going on in the main chat, just unhappiness by Wavy. And so when that happened with Ace, I think we both felt like, I was like, oh man, like he's checked out. And not to mention Chris, first play of the game, I already talked about it. First play of the game, complained about the lob. Then also I guess this may have been like game maybe 5, maybe 4 or 5, where Chris had issues, stated those issues, then left the chat. and and the rest of us was like, oh man, we can't even communicate, what we did wrong, so to speak. And then Ace pretty much didn't communicate at all the entire game. So now that after that game, I stormed out the chat, because
man.
yeah, because I was just pissed off, and that was by far our worst loss. We of course,
Yeah, we lost by 40.
yes,
Like,
yeah.
40 to the
Was that
Pirates. 40 to
was
the
that the
Pirates.
Pirates? That was the Pirates.
To the
Wow.
Pirates.
we lost by 40.
For people who don't know, did not make the playoffs. I mean, they fought hard. They were a great team, but we definitely shouldn't have lost by 40 to them. We beat them the other 2 times in the season, but yeah, that was by far our worst. Which, as Chris said, it was obvious at that moment, like we gotta have this guy. That's no way we win. No way. There's no way
Heartbeat of the team
without this guy. And of course, and that's what franchise players are for. So, I messaged him that night. No response. I think he hit me back maybe later like that. And this could have been, and you let me know, Ace, was this after you and Chris's chat? Because I know you hit me up later on the next day, but it was like late in the evening, and you was like, "Hey man, it's all good, bro. I'm good."
No. So it actually no. It was after me and Chris talked. It was after that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was after that. So I remember, I got up early like I always do, and I seen your message, and I was like, man, I ain't got time for this right now, dog.
He left him on red. He left him on red.
No, but you know how it is when you're busy as well. Like, that was the last thing I was kind of worried about. But I was like, I'm gonna make sure, when I'm done handling this business, I'll get back to him. But me and Chris had then talked earlier, and like I said, it was nothing. It was nothing like malicious. We just all wanted to win. That's all it was.
Yeah.
And the issue originally was, where I said I needed to adjust. I'm not used to playing with a center who can get his own bucket in the post.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and that's where it was. So when he asked for the ball in the post, like I said, it was hard for us to, fulfill the cut. It was hard for, Elijah to cut, or for me to drive and create. So, and I wasn't aware, because Chris wasn't doing it early on. He wasn't shooting threes. So the way it was going on, I'm like, bro, we got to figure something out, because, it's going to clog up the paint, and certain people are not going to be able to get shots. So that specific game, we lost by 40. It kind of solidified. That was just like, that was the breaking point. So it was either, said mentioned, it was either is we in, or we're gonna go ahead and chalk it up. And I'm not no quitter. I quit that game.
Me neither, bro. I'm very stubborn.
Yeah. But see, I never knew that. I never knew that they actually text each other and talk. So So even all that is great. I think that just to say, and I think, Ace said, I'm sorry, Wavy said this in the chat, about gaining a friend and things like that. Because at the end of the day, that's why we wanted to do this. That's the reason why was literally for the association and to meet others and stuff like that. And we've done that. And from a competitive standpoint, you had those, and that's in real life ball too, man. I know as a competitor, I was, and Chris, Chris definitely probably didn't like me when he first met me, because of on the basketball court, I was really abrasive, but and now Chris is, and I don't know if, I hope I ain't rub off on him, but he's just as abrasive as I was. So so and that's in real life. So but when you're talking about, just the friendships and stuff like that, that's that's been great to kind of meet new guys, and what we take away from the, whatever happens in the finals when we win, for sure. We still have that, and and we'll still.
Before we switch subjects, I just want to shout out 42, because 40 has been, you can tell he's been working on his player, because
definitely
the last couple weeks, I'm talking about straight hooping in fives. And I'm like, oh my, if he could, I said it, BG, literally, we had played a fives game the day before our playoff series, And I was telling everybody in chat, I was like, if 40 shoot like this tomorrow night, we're gonna sweep them. I said it. Dead
now,
serious.
granted, Phil did not shoot like that, but
No.
but like I said, Phil is the most consistent. He was ready. You know what I'm saying? It was I think, and what really changed the game, I think, to get to the finals is I think the score, it was I want to say it was maybe like 6-3. It was early. And I had passed Phil a shot at the 3, and he did not shoot. He was wide open. And I think after that, we called the timeout. Somebody called the timeout. It might have been me. And I'm like, Phil, I said, we're not gonna be mad if you miss. I said, we see you hooping. Go ahead and hoop. And then from that moment on, it's like Phil activated. He was activated after that.
Yep.
And that's what it was.
With him making those shots, that opened me up to have a 25-point game. That's the most I've scored in a. That's my career high in a playoff game, like 25. So, I mean, it opened up everybody else with him just being a factor.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say, so from the other side, from Dream Chaser side, I kind of I don't want to get into this, but I kind of like yeah. With the best way to put it is M Will was gonna be the help man. I wasn't gonna help that game. So M Will was supposed to be the help man, and Phil torched him. I won't say I'm not gonna, I'm gonna give Phil his credit, but on the same side, it was kind of like M Will was too worried about having to help, so he couldn't focus on guarding Phil, and Phil took advantage and just killed it.
And actually, being honest, was that not our game plan?
Yes, it was.
I think the very first or the last time we lost to y'all, BG,
Phil shot.
Phil shot 3 for 13, and we noticed and we've watched film, and M Will was helping, and we had told Phil from the beginning. I said, if M Will going to help, I said we going to cook him, and that's exactly what happened the whole time. So every time M Will helped, we was waiting for it. We was actually hoping M Will help so that way Phil could get the bucket. I'm telling you, that was our whole game plan.
He took it, definitely took advantage of it. And I wanted to say this too, like just from being on the outside looking in and knowing my brother, I know Phil's not like necessarily, we're kind of similar in that we're not necessarily ones that want to sit in the corner and shoot threes. And much, respect for both sides of it, like with Phil and you guys, you and Ace and Chris, like letting Phil do what he does rather than just having him sit at the 3-point line. Because I don't think that's his greatest
that's
strength.
not him. Right.
And y'all really use him the way, I feel like that's the way Phil should be used, whatever team he's on. Kind of like he's a mid-range assassin and a great slasher, and he's definitely like one of the best power forwards as far as playing with a center because he gonna do all the little dirty work. To me, Phil and M Will are practically almost the same kind of player.
And you need that guy on your team.
Yeah. So I really, as a matter of fact, we do have a upcoming episode we want to do for the pod with the kind of like the unsung heroes of the teams, and Phil's like at the top of the list because he might not get the accolades. But Phil, Phil does a lot of the dirty work and he does so efficiently. And what I appreciate about both him and M Will, neither one of them, in my opinion, they don't force shots for the most part. They might take, here or there, it's gonna be like he shouldn't have took that, but they don't force shots. They hit the open man, and if it's there, they go. So much respect to the bad boys for utilizing him and getting my brother to the finals. First time. So I look forward to watching that
series win on the actual team. I've done it as a reserve, but that don't count. So.
Hey, well, you there now. So looking forward to see what you guys do there. And got to kind of wrap this up because for time's sake. But I did have one question I wanted to ask. Now this question I had formulated kind of before the playoffs. So once Elijah snapped, it kind of takes away from, where the question was coming from. But my question originally was, well, you took Elijah in the third ahead of Phil. What was the thought process there? And just from looking at your team, Phil being the most consistent player, I'm not trying to cause any kind of division, but Phil has been the better player, like steadily through the 12 plus games, 14 games that you guys have played. So what was your thought process there, grabbing Elijah in the third and maybe where you possibly could have got him in the fourth round? Like, just what was your thought process?
Well, a couple reasons. Number one, from a personal standpoint, Elijah's in my congregation. Known him watched him grow up for years now. So I definitely wanted to just play with him, period. Like that's just from a personal standpoint. I would have drafted him over anybody in the third, because I knew that because of not people not knowing him as well, that he wouldn't go in the first 2 rounds. But the reason I chose the third was because of you, sir. Because I knew if not even if you probably would have still drafted Leak, but you would have drafted another player before me again. So it was the possibility of, okay, if I don't get him here, there's a possibility that BG may get him in the fourth before I can get that to him. So I went ahead and got him for that, the personal reason, and because of I just wasn't sure if he would be there when it came back around to me.
Now, and to answer that, there's a very strong chance he might not have been there. I was trying to, like, as I was drafting, I kind of was like plugging in each hole. So I was like, all right, I got a point guard, I got a shooting guard, I got a small forward, I need a power forward. So there was a good chance I might have grabbed him. Very strong possibility. And I know I kind of was putting the bug in your ear during, like, when we were running the combine. I purposely, I was, adding on a little bit when we were in there, because there was a game or two where Sed and I were running together with I think it was Robbie and then Elijah. And Elijah was balling. And I was laying on think like, oh, said if you don't take him, you might be gone. So um, but I definitely had Elijah on my draft board. And kind of thing, it's interesting, but there's certain GMs that I have like respect for as a GM more than just like the captain player role. And I said is on like among those that I have respect for as a GM. And the reason I say that, the first iteration of MMA, we had a captain that kind of like he didn't really scout like I thought he should have before the draft,
Yeah.
and his team kind of reflected. You said where I'm going with this, but his team kind of reflected on that after the fact.
In a
And for
row.
me, yeah, the shout out to the generals. Let stay dead, please. But
Generals. God.
yeah, yeah. So for me, I take scouting seriously. So I was in there, I wanted to see Elijah. I know I didn't want any player that I had not seen to go miss on my end. Like, I'm scouting Renzo and Leak, Elijah, Ace. And I knew, just coming in, we knew Ace was gonna be like a top pick. Everybody was kind of talking about him. So I didn't want to miss out on Elijah. And it paid off. Like I said, shout out to you, Elijah, for getting together at the perfect time. Cause like we were prepared for, we know Ace is gonna do something, we know Chris is gonna do something, we even know Phil's gonna do something. We were not truly ready for you to be hitting like that. And that was like, I think me and Phil were talking about this the other day. That second game, I believe the closeout game, is only the second game in our entire season that a whole team scored in double digits. So you guys had like the complete game that game. No, there was no denying you guys
Big
getting to the
ups
finals
to
for that game.
Elijah. We was waiting on that. We was waiting.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
can tell you from said for what said told me when he first drafted Elijah was like Elijah's a knockdown shooter. Like you said, early in the season, I don't know if it was the game plan, like you said, we all wasn't really playing up to potential until recently.
Right.
But when Elijah caught fire, then it was like, oh yeah, we win it. We win it. Because if you help off of me, then Elijah gonna hit that. If you help off of Chris, Elijah hitting that. And then Phil, we was running plays for Phil. It was like, I was like, man, it's looking scary out here. It's looking scary out here.
Hours. Scary hours.
Yeah. So I do appreciate you guys. Congrats on getting to the finals. And
Yes, sir.
one last question for all of you guys. What are your expectations in the finals? I'm not talking about, whether you guys are going to win, but like, do you guys, how can I put this? how do you guys see the series going? Do you see it being very challenging? And of course, I know you guys are gonna give respect to your opponents, but what I mean is like, do you think there's anything that you guys aren't really prepared for? You guys, I don't know how to phrase this, but like, just give me you guys' thoughts or expectations coming into the finals, and we'll wrap up from there.
Bad boys basketball.
Yep. Stick to the game plan.
Yeah, we got. I think we got a really good game plan.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I ain't gonna tell the game plan. You know what I'm saying? I ain't
Yeah,
crazy.
but we look, bro. We already know Oz gonna get his. We know he gonna
Mhm.
get his.
But this is the team that beat us all 3 meetings. I
They
think.
beat us all 3 meetings.
Yeah,
They have.
and
but we're gonna be ready.
yeah.
Bad boys basketball. We're gonna be ready.
Oh,
We will be ready.
The great thing is we also didn't beat, DC,
Right.
until the correct time. So
Sorry, BJ.
yeah. So yeah. So before I give my full answer, Elijah, what you got before I close this out? What are your expectations going in?
To dominate.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. That's a great
Hey, I
answer.
can't follow that actually. So hey, sir, for real. Like, so for us, it's just, we're going up against a great team. Excellent team. Everybody was wondering what's the move going to pay off that JP made in the beginning of the season. JP is my brother, so I'm glad to actually see him line up across me. Long time, for us to finally kind of meet each other at this point in the season. Tyler is a knockdown shooter. Miami is really good basketball. He's really good. He's really good. And I actually played with him in one of the seasons. I forgot exactly what season it was, but he was actually on my roster. And so real nice dude. Division is, of course, DPOY. We're literally playing against the DPOY and the MVP. So they're supposed to beat us, but will they beat us is the question. So
Look at said trying to take the underdog role.
But they're supposed to. So,
AK, we are the underdogs. What you mean?
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah,
That's
we're not
that
even supposed to be in the
Philly
finals,
stuff.
Right.
We wasn't even
Here
supposed
we
to be in the
go.
playoffs.
Here we go.
We're not
Here
supposed
we
to be
go.
We just believed, and now
We're
we
playing
ain't.
The real Cinderella team.
We're
Well,
playing
with
with house
that, I
money, man.
appreciate y'all, and thanks for the bad boys for coming on through and disrupting the pod. And I do appreciate some of the behind the scenes stuff that we got this time around. Some little candidates that even their team wasn't aware of. So, stay tuned for the second part of this episode with the Ball Hogs. We're gonna get their behind the scenes on their season as well, and we just look forward to keep bringing you guys some decent content here. And with that, we out.